him to go and ask them to remove them because I couldn't sit in a comfortable position. I was just in pain. I couldn't hold my shoulder stationary to stop any movement, so it was like bone grating on bone.
And Pat, when Peter here said to you, go and tell them to get these cuffs off, basically he was saying he doesn't care what else is happening, he just wants the cuffs off his hands because it hurts.
He was quite calm about it. I went up to the back of the van and said, you okay, is there anything I can do? And he said, look, they've hurt my shoulder, it's damaged or broken, used one of those words. Could you please ask them to remove my cuffs so that I can sling it, take my shirt off and use it as a sling? I said, no worries. Went over and asked the senior constable, and he just said no. And I said, why not? And he said, how can we trust that he won't do anything? And I said, well, what's he going to do? You've damaged him anyway, plus you're, anyway, he's injured.
Back of a van.
Yeah.
You were in the paddy wagon at that stage. Yeah.
And he just said, no. And he said, look, he said then, we'll call an ambulance at the station or something like that.
Right.
I actually asked him why they did it. I asked him personally why he attacked him.
Why he had arrested him, yep.
Well, I asked him why. So I said, you assaulted him. I said, why did you do that? Why did you grab him? And he said, because, these are the police officer's words, that he was belittling my image, or my, how would you feel if you're in my shoes and people are standing around, someone's questioning you, So I said, so it's you're just concerned about your image. And he said, yeah. And the funny thing is, during this whole thing, while they were taking him to the van, I made a point of asking both police officers their names. One of them, neither of them gave me their names. One of them, I could read the badge, or did he give me his name? I don't recall. But the other one, I've got it written down, or 6 months ago, but I've got it all written down. The other guy wouldn't give me his name and told me to get out of there and stuff. But anyway, I hung around.
Sorry, was the other one wearing a badge?
Yeah, they were both wearing badges.
Right.
But I couldn't see it at the time because of the way they were taking him to the van.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, they didn't get my name or details at all during this whole thing, right? Yet the charges they ended up charging Peter with claimed that he did this and did that, was being a big nuisance, and so was his accomplice, which is what they named me. Yet during the whole time they didn't even bother to get my name and details or anything, so obviously we weren't...
But they didn't arrest you?
No, they didn't even ask me my name.
This is the funny thing, right? If you're in accompaniment with somebody, right, during an offence, you're actually held liable for the same offence.
Now, look, we're running out of time. I want you to skip forward to the point where you're at the station. They unload you from the paddy wagon. Yep. What happens from that point? I
asked for them to take the cuffs off yet again. I also asked before we drove down there, and they were in the van and just said, didn't really say anything, just drove off.
How bad's the pain at this stage?
At this stage now?
No, sorry. At the stage where you're being taken out of the back of the wagon.
It's pretty bad. Look, I took my time getting out of the back of the wagon. They told me to hurry up, and I just looked at him. Didn't say anything, just looked over at him, and he's like, enough of those death stares as well. And I'm just like, what? I've got a dislocated shoulder on that, and I'm attempting to step out over what did you call it, the back of the van. There's a little step up and then down onto a single step before I go to the ground. So I'm attempting to keep my balance because I'm not wanting to fall over and fall on my shoulder.
Yep.
So I'm taking my time and making sure. And, of course, it's not something you do every day in that situation, so I'm working out which foot I'm going to put forward, how I'm going to, step down onto the ground. So once I step down, they still don't take it off. They walk me up to the back of the dock area at the police station, and they then take the handcuffs off me. We walk inside. There's a senior constable who's the acting charge sergeant in the charge room. I actually asked him, I asked him if he'd actually accept the charge against the police officer for assault, and he told me that he wouldn't accept it, and that I had to deal, I'm not allowed to do that.
So hang on, when you're being led in there, you actually wanted to lay charges against the police officers?
Straight away.
Well, look, they take you to an interview room or something like that, is that right?
No interview room. I'm stuck in the charge room.
Right.
Now, it had been, they stated in court, now I'm not too sure about the time, but they stated in court it was 25 to 30 minutes before we went back to the station. In the station, it was longer than half an hour. Right. During this time, I received no treatment, even though I asked for it. The charge sergeant said he didn't feel qualified. I said, but you've got a first aid certificate. I know being in the police, I had to get one before I entered the police force.
What sort of treatment did you want? A sling?
I wanted a sling. I asked the charge sergeant for a sling. Right. I even asked the constable, and he turned around and he said, well, how do I know you're injured? And I'm like, well, because I said it. and he just ignored it and walked away. The charge sergeant, I asked for a sling, right, and he said, we've got none in the station. I said, well, look, could you check in the first aid kit for me, please? And he's then stated there's none in the first aid kit. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that you actually require in a first aid kit, and every business in New South Wales requires a first aid kit. I knew that because I did some direct sales and we were selling first aid kits at the time. So
bottom line is, though, they didn't offer you any treatment.
No treatment.
Did they at least reassure you that there was medical attention on its way? Did they ever at any stage inform you that?
Yes, that was because they wanted my name. Now, when the probation constable asked me for my name, I didn't respond to him in the charge room. And then he started getting a bit agitated with me, raising his voice and demanding my name continually. And the charge sergeant then turns around and goes, hang on, stops him and goes, look, we've got to process this, give us your name. I said, what for? I said, I'm not under arrest. I haven't had my rights read to me. All right, okay, and I wasn't actually said that I was under arrest at any time, so I'm not technically under arrest. So he said, well, look, if you give us your name, and I said, look, what about my shoulder? He said, well, look, if you give us your name, I'll call an ambulance for you.
So that was the barter.
That was the bargain for me.
They wouldn't give you medical attention unless you gave them the name.
Yep, that was it. So
okay. And let's cut to the chase. How long did it take until you got the attention that you obviously needed?
Oh, look, I was in a lot of pain, so I'm not really too certain about.
They said in the statement that happened on the street. It was 25 or 30 minutes before they took you to the station.
Yeah.
And then the station was definitely, I reckon, at least an hour because. At that time, Mandy was with us. She came and because I was sitting.
She
there for a
went
while.
to some shopping.
She had time to go and do some shopping.
So altogether,
come back before
the time from the time the incident happened on the street to the time that the medical attention arrived at the station, and after all the waiting and the
it's between an hour and an hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's a long time when you've got an injury like yours.
Yeah, and I'm in the station as well, asking them, what's going on with Peter, and they wouldn't, give me any information. They'd say, oh, look, we'll check on him, and that's it, and they wouldn't come back and they wouldn't actually go and do it.
They eventually charged you?
No, they didn't charge me then. I had the ambulance officers attend, and they told me that they'd send me out some, documentation. 10 days later, I received a court attendance notice, a CAN notice, and that was with the charges then. Right?
Can you tell us what the charges were?
Hinder police, refuse or fail to comply with the direction, which is, telling me to leave, and the failure or refuse to disclose identity on request.
Okay, and you went to court, it went to trial, but halfway through the trial these were thrown out?
Yep. Well, during the constable's testimony on the thing, the judge turned around and said that there hasn't been a prima facie case shown yet, and he goes, is there going to be anything different in the probationary constables in the witness statement? And there wasn't, so he threw it out without us having to even testify or anything.
Okay, and tell us on a financial level, what does this cost you? I mean, has it been a struggle to meet medical expenses here? Well,
look, that's the thing. I can't go and afford to do any of that. Like, I don't actually have an income.
You had to have an operation.
Yeah, it had to, look, it was 8 o'clock or around there that night, so it was like a good 6 hours after the event. Because of the fracture, they were worried about putting it back in. So I had to actually, get the local and go under and have the operation to have it actually reducted.
It was a general anaesthetic.
Excuse me. Yep. So yeah, it was an operation.
And you had CAT scans as well.
Yeah, I had CAT scans, X-rays after it.
And since then, you've still got ongoing problems with this arm, don't you? You're going to physio.
Well, yeah. Look, I can get my hand now. I'll show you here. I can get my hand up to my lower back. Right now, I used to be able to get it up between just above my shoulder blades. So there's a lot of restriction.
Limited movement, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of restriction with it. What it's cost me. I had a barrister that actually looked after me financially with it. He didn't charge me what he normally charges. And it still cost me $5,000 to go and defend myself against something that is termed by the judge an unlawful arrest.
So you're well and truly out of pocket.
Oh, big time out of pocket.
Legally.
That is, yeah. Pat's the one that gave me the $5,000. Yeah. So
Pat's funded you up. All right, Peter.
We're looking into getting that back.
Let me put something to you.
Yep.
Okay, I've listened to your story. To be honest, I'm mortified by the lack of intelligence shown by the officers involved. They're supposed to be smart, aren't they? Police officers are supposed to be smart. They're meant to know how to deal with conflict, confrontation, and to be honest, it sounds like they should have been able to diffuse, a situation